welcome to Broken Entertainment. So as we continue to receive some news and rumors on the Batman movie, and we continue to see Hollywood making some of the same mistakes drive us all crazy, I thought I would take a look at a movie that also made a lot of the same decisions that, if you took out the name and the nostalgia, would piss people off. So let's take a look at Batman 1989 and forget the movie for a minute. Just wipe your mind clean of the movie and imagine a Hollywood studio gets a big budget DC Comics or Marvel Comics character film, and they cast a guy in the lead role who is mostly known for comedy work. And then they cast somebody who race swaps Harvey Dent. And then consider that you find out they changed the origin a little bit, and then you find out that the character's main villain gets killed at the end of the movie. So why is it that Batman 1989 does all of these things and nobody cares? Right? I love Batman 1989. It's one of my favorite all-time movies, one of my favorite Batman movies, and it's a very important movie to me that I saw growing up. So why does it get away with this stuff? Well, there's a number of reasons, and I'll try to break it down per issue. So we'll start. I've got an article here. This is Wikipedia, but this is accurate information. We'll start with the casting of Michael Keaton. Michael Keaton was a horribly unpopular choice to play Batman because people wanted a serious Batman movie, and they pictured Michael Keaton as this comedy guy who did silly movies and wasn't a serious choice. So they start to picture, oh great, we're going to get another Adam West knockoff type of movie. So Keaton's casting caused a controversy among comic book fans, with 50,000 protest letters sent to Warner Brothers offices. Now this was before, of course, the internet. 50,000 letters. He was a comedy guy in most people's minds, and you can see why that reaction would happen. So why is it that after the movie, this is no longer the case? Michael Keaton put in such an amazing performance in both Batman movies as both Bruce Wayne and Batman, making the two characters distinct and different from one another while also bringing them together as the same person. He did a phenomenal job. And the simple answer is people moved on and stopped caring because he proved them wrong. He didn't approach it from a comedic perspective. He put an amazing work into the role and really put his stamp on it to the effect that I think, at least for me, he's still the best Batman. There's a lot of other good Batmans, Bat people. There's a lot of other good people that have played the role. But Michael Keaton, to me, far and above the best. Other people did good in one aspect. Christian Bale played a good Batman. Ben Affleck played a good Bruce Wayne. But Michael Keaton nailed them both in a way that I don't think any actor has done before or since. The other thing, Harvey Dent, in terms of casting. Billy D. Williams. Harvey Dent, Two-Face, is a white guy in the comics. So why then does nobody point to this now and say, well, they race swapped Two-Face? Like, if they race swap somebody now, we get up in arms. Why? Well, there's a couple of reasons for this. One, this happens in 1989. 1989 is a very different place. And people weren't race swapping characters constantly just to get virtue signal points, and they weren't casting them and then making a big deal out of it. He just got cast for the role. Done deal. Now, I'm sure people complain, but it's been forgotten. Why? Well, several reasons. First of all, there was no big deal made out of it. It wasn't done out of virtue signaling. It's actually done for a reason that nobody would get away with now. Burton chose Billy D. Williams as Harvey Dent because he wanted to include the villain Two-Face in a future film using the concept of an African-American Two-Face for the black and white concept. He did this for artistic reasons. He did not do it to prove a point. He did not do it to push an agenda. He didn't make a big deal out of it in the media. So people have forgotten about it. And another reason, Harvey Dent isn't a big player in the movie. Yes, he's in the movie. Yes, he takes part in the plot. But overall, when you watch Batman 1989, you come out of it thinking about Harvey Dent. You know, I honestly forgot he was in the movie. I just thought I was District Attorney guy number 3, and you know, he just doesn't play a big enough role for it to really come up, and he didn't really do anything to nail it as Harvey Dent. So you're not like, oh, that's Harvey Dent, you know, like you had in The Dark Knight. So there's Billy D. Williams, in essence, didn't own the character in the way that Michael Keaton owned Batman. So there's no real lasting impact. There's no real lasting memory even of him playing the character. And then finally, the story was so good it just didn't matter. At the end of the day, nobody cares because it was such a good story, and because they didn't make a big deal out of the casting, who cares? And that's something that Hollywood could theoretically get away with now. They could theoretically race swap a major character, but have such an amazing story that nobody cares. The problem is that now when they race swap a character, they pat themselves on the back, do a little jig in the street, tell everybody how great they are, and oh, finally there's some representation, and then they tell a horrible story. So it never gets forgotten or forgiven. Although I could point out, I suppose, one example, Nick Fury. Nick Fury in the comics is not black. But Samuel L. Jackson. Okay? And not enough people knew about Nick Fury for there to be a major uproar. So, as far as the origin and everything else goes, the simple answer is, the most direct answer is, Batman 1989 was too good of a movie to care about any of that after you see the movie. Casting choices go away, changes in the character. Batman kills a lot of people in Batman 1989 and in Batman Returns. Nobody cares. Everybody gets up in arms when Ben Affleck does it, but Ben Affleck's movies weren't critically well received. They weren't well received by the audience. Batman vs. Superman is not a popular movie. The Justice League is not a popular movie. If either of those two movies or both of those two movies had been so amazing in the way that Batman 1989 was, where Batman 1989 sets the future stage and the future mold for how superhero movies are done, when that happened, people forgave everything. And it could have happened with Batman vs. Superman and Justice League, but it wasn't a good enough story. And it wasn't well received enough for people to move on. So instead, they pick apart the movies and they go, oh, Batman kills people, Batman never kills people. You know, while at the same time turning around, Batman 1989 is great, Batman Returns is great. You know, it's the story. The story is the thing. If the story of a movie is good enough, and the acting is good enough, and the acting in Batman 89 is fantastic. If those things are true, nothing else matters. If you don't go out and virtue signal, you don't go out and push an agenda, because Batman doesn't push an agenda, it's just entertainment. If you don't do those things, and you have a great story, nobody cares. Nobody even remembers you did these things. Okay? most people don't think of Michael Keaton's Batman as killing people, I don't think. But he does. He does. He does a lot, in fact. About the only person he doesn't intentionally kill on the villain side is the Joker, who he tries to stop and then tries to prevent from falling and fails. But when you do these things, the fact of the matter is, Michael Keaton, Jack Nicholson, both did such a good job and had such amazing chemistry with one another as hero and villain that it just didn't matter. It doesn't matter. I don't care that Batman killed people in Batman 1989 because it's a damn good movie. And it pays respect to the character. Nobody comes out of that movie not liking Batman. And the movie doesn't humiliate Batman. It doesn't put somebody over Batman. It treats Batman with respect. And yes, it shows him as a damaged individual, but that just makes him deeper. And, you find out that Michael Keaton and Tim Burton both studied the Dark Knight Returns comics as inspiration. So they put in the work. They put in the effort. And yes, another thing that is forgiven, and you can see it here, this suit, those muscles are all built into the suit. Michael Keaton didn't really go out and get totally jacked for the role. And nobody cares. They concealed it pretty well, and he did a good enough job, it just didn't matter. And then you look at the Batman and the rumors coming out of that Robert Pattinson couldn't be bothered to work out, and people take it a little differently. Because, one, we haven't seen the movie yet, so we don't know if it's any good. But two, Robert Pattinson comes from what? A background nobody likes, just like Michael Keaton. But again, Michael Keaton didn't say anything really about working out. He didn't do what Robert Pattinson did, where he went out into the media, made a big deal about, I'm not working out. Working out is horrible. Working out is a part of the problem in Hollywood. The quieter you are, the easier it is to forgive when you have a good movie. And this is why, above all else, the story, the quality of the acting, and the fact that when they did things, they weren't loud about it. They weren't pushing agendas. They weren't being ridiculous in the media. That all went a huge, long way, and people celebrate the movie rather than complain about it. It's just some stuff I've been thinking about. If you like the video, please hit the like button. Let me know what you think about Batman 1989 and how people view it versus how people react to very similar things in movies now in the comments down below. If you're not subscribed, please consider subscribing. Hit the bell for notifications, and I will see you next time.